about time to go test it out. Hopefully it works.
I'm gonna wait until it snaps. It jammed. I broke it.
I don't have anything to do with this. Red's taking a paper. This'd be cool. We could make like a little movie on the bathtub. And it'd be like, incoming Marisk line. That kind of looks cool though. Oh, got it. Just happened. Oh, got it. Oh, side. 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 Ow. Oh, God.
Ooh, put the caps back on.
I gotta drive him over to you in my little Marisk liner.
That's slowly.
Oh no!
You weren't successful, so I just emptied out.
Not coloring the water too much anymore, but it was dripping like green. You can see the water's kind of green along the edges. Oh yeah, now you can really see it. The water is green. I was thinking this paint was going to come off. It kind of just dripped right off. Oh, that one works. Look at that color. It's like a bag of Skittles. Gosh, it is shooting off that one everywhere. We gonna have black water. Oh, look at this little edge over here. Get out of there.
Whoa.
Look
at that.
Yeah, this one got pretty pale.
Just sink them for a long time. Kind of move them around on the ground.
Oh, a little black cloud shot up when I sunk that one. See, and then you can just have your other boats ride along on
Is
there.
it a good thing that this holds water well?
It works. And then you can drop them off.
Can you carry mine?
Got off.
Carry mine. Got off.
Okay.
Gone wrong.
Enterprise, pick them up. Oh. Oh yeah.
Do you choose to save it?
Please don't leave this in the seat.
Yeah.
Rachel, you show me how this thing works out here?
What?
Show me how this thing works out here?
Your thing that you made today.
Action is another consideration for the Big Bang Theory provided by.
These are
Yeah.
Do you want it so bad?
Parmesan dusted garlic seasoned
Is
You forgot a piece.
bread twists.
Taco wants a magic trick? Look like he's got.
That was cute.
Just sat on my knee. Oh, back over.
Okay.
The moment you realize you're lucky your backyard is intact.
Well, I mean, he did once eat a sticker that was covered in ranch.
Brendan, that was your experience.
He was just like, well, it's ranch. Little did he know there was a sticker in there.
I'm pretty sure they're not poisonous. And it's stuck to his lawn.
Dang.
Whoa.
Look at him go. He's dancing and nodding and junk.
It looks like the parrot, like a parrot. What's up? Cool.
The handle on the.
Like pops as it sucks it in.
Now we got a whole herd.
Whoa, watch out for the thing. Oh no, who lost their cow? You know what? I'm gonna ride you for myself. What was that?
I like it!
Hey. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode by Burn Roll 2 Day Vlog 45. Hopefully you guys liked everything in the intro. And yeah, so I have 2 movie reviews. Haven't had one for a while, but I will do my first one will be Kingsman the Golden Circle, and the second one will be for It. So yeah, so here's my review for Kingsman the Golden Circle. So Kingsman the Golden Circle is directed by Matthew Vaughn and is the sequel to Kingsman the Secret Service. It stars Taron Egerton as Eggsy, Colin Firth as Harry Hart, Mark Strong as Merlin, Pedro Pascal as Whiskey, and Julianne Moore as Poppy. So first off, the first one was surprisingly pretty good. I didn't go see it in theaters, but when it first came out on physical media, and my dad and I liked it quite a bit. But this one my dad didn't like as much as the first one, but I liked it just a little bit better. This was not on my list of movies to go see in theaters this year. It was probably like number 11, or I mean not number 11. It wasn't top 10. It was just off the list. But yeah, so, but this one but we just went and saw it. This one was not on my list of movies to go see in theaters, but we just went and saw it the second day in theaters. So basically, the plot of this one is that the new main villain, Poppy, created a drug that is pretty much weed, but is even worse and causes 4 stages, blue rashes, then uncontrollable dancing, then paralysis, and then death. But she also creates a cure for it too, so the Kingsmen from London must go meet up with Statesmen from Kentucky, and the members of the Statesmen are the leader, Champ, played by Jeff Bridges, the tech-smart Ginger, played by Halle Berry, Tequila, played by Channing Tatum, and of course Whiskey. The opening scene is an epic fight scene in a Kingsman cab between Eggsy and Charlie, played by Edward Holcroft, who was involved in the final battle on the first movie and lost an arm, so he has a robot arm. And man, that was a great opening scene. I absolutely love the fight scene directing style of Matthew Vaughn. Anyway, Poppy is the biggest drug lord on Earth, so she owns a whole tropical island with a bowling alley, a hair salon, where she hair salon, where she sends new members of her organization, where the robot female person gives them all the same straight fingerprint and a golden circle tattoo on their chest made out of molten gold. Tons of other buildings, and the main place, Poppy's Diner, where she is at pretty much the whole movie. Every single place that every single place has Poppy in the name on the island. She has guards at the front gate 24/7, and the whole place is surrounded by landmines. Anyway, the robot arm gets chopped off and hacks into the Kingsmen and gets all of their addresses. So Poppy blows up Eggsy's Kingsman clothier store, the main Kingsman mansion, etc. So, while mourning of everything lost, Eggsy and Merlin go have drinks of whiskey named Statesman, and Eggsy finds that the Made in Kentucky logo has the Kingsman logo in the K in Kentucky. So they head off to Kentucky, where they find the Statesman factory plant and end up running into Tequila, who runs and brings them down the huge keg elevator to meet up with Ginger. They show them Harry in a white padded room with butterfly drawings everywhere, and they're both surprised since he died by getting shot in the left eye by Samuel L. Jackson's character Valentine on the first movie. Anyway, they explain that thanks to one of their gadgets, they were able to revive him, but lost his memory. So that they have to traumatize him to eventually get it back. Eggsy put a tracker on Clara, played by Poppy Delevingne, so they could find the cure place once she goes to it, which I will come back to the scene later. So Eggsy, Harry, and Whiskey go to Italy and have to ride on an awesome huge gondola at a ski resort up to where the cure is being held and made while Harry keeps watch from the bottom. Once they retrieve a vial of the cure, they go back, but have major complications thanks to Charlie and his new robot arm given to him by Poppy that can use super strength and can shoot his fist connected to a chain. Anyway, that whole scene was my second favorite. Throughout this film. It ended with Whiskey's true shining moment, since he is pretty much the American version of Harry, and both of them, without a doubt, have the best fighting scenes in this franchise. The unforeseen complication is that Eggsy's girlfriend, Princess of Sweden Tilda, has taken the drug and is already in the paralysis stage. So back on Poppy's Island, she is holding Elton John hostage to perform for her, and if he doesn't, she has these two really cool robot dogs that can charge in their dog houses and in her that are in her diner that will go after him like she made them do to a couple of other people throughout the film. So with Tequila in a freeze pod to keep him alive until they get a cure for him since he has the blue rashes, Whiskey just getting his memory back after being killed at the end of the snowy Italy scene, and the huge stadium makeshift hospital being filled up with the dancing people in cages, Eggsy, Harry, and Merlin go to Poppy's Island to finish it all. Sadly, Eggsy steps on one of the landmines, which Merlin sacrifices himself a few minutes later to save Eggsy and Harry. It sucks because I love Merlin as a character, but his death scene was one of the greatest in film out of the 2017 year, and was truly memorable. Anyway, Eggsy and Harry then have an epic final battle scene with all of the weird slave workers on Poppy's Island that run all of the shops and hobby places and all that. Of course, that scene was my favorite in this film, and was probably the best scene to show off pretty much every single one of the Kingsman gadgets throughout the franchise so far. And it was just great. Eggsy ends up fighting Charlie for the last time, while Harry and Elton John fight off both of the robot dogs, which is awesome and hilarious. And then Eggsy and Harry both confront Poppy, give her an overdose of her own drug, get the password of the briefcase that can release all of the cure delivering drones, and then she dies. But then Whiskey arrives, furious at Harry for killing him earlier, and so the both of them have a final fight against him, ending with him going into the meat grinder that Poppy put another man in earlier. And then Eggsy and Tilda have their wedding with family, friends, the Kingsmen, and the Statesmen, and all that, making Eggsy the Prince of Sweden, which is good that Tilda's parents still accepted him because of the dinner scene, where he had his glasses on yelling at one of his friends and then witnessed the destruction of all of the Kingsman buildings, and the king thought that Eggsy was actually yelling at him. So yeah, that is the plot of the Kingsman, that is the plot of Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So for the characters, Eggsy was pretty much just as great as a character as he was on the first one, and we don't just get to see his fancy Kingsman side, we still get to see his teen-like punk side too again.
Harry was still just as good, but maybe even better since he had more depth and emotions than just his awesome savage side. Merlin was a great character once again, and again had an amazing death scene. Poppy was a good villain, but did not have as much screen time as Valentine did on the first one. Same with her second-in-command, Charlie, like Valentine's second-in-command, Gazelle, played by Sofia Boutella. But Charlie was awesome still. He just didn't have that much depth or character. Champ was okay, didn't have that much screen time, but he was played by Jeff Bridges, who is an amazing actor in almost everything. Ginger was okay too, but she was played by Halle Berry, which is good because she was recently in the huge failure Kidnap, and is even still recovering from her role as Catwoman in Catwoman from 2004. And I feel like this helped her bounce back up a little bit, since her only other current good role, in my opinion, is Storm in the X-Men franchise. Tequila was very funny and had a lot less screen time than I expected, but it is also refreshing not to have Channing Tatum as the leading role in a movie for once. Whiskey was my favorite of the Statesmen and had 2 double-barrel revolvers and a lasso that could become electric as its main weapons. And since he is pretty much the American version of Harry, he gets fight scenes like Harry, you know, the solo against a lot of people with the epic directing style. And in one scene, Harry gets into a bar fight and starts with his signature locking the door while stating "Manners maketh man," but starts losing. So Whiskey takes over, and his own American style "Manners maketh man's" fight scene occurs. Sir Elton John was actually played by Sir Elton John and was actually a pretty big character in the film and was probably the most funny and careless. I did not like Clara as a character, and the rest of the characters I'm not really going to talk about, but most of them were enjoyable. So overall, my pros with The Kingsman: The Golden Circle were that it still had great humor, great lovable, memorable characters, and I love all the gadgets, just how creative and awesome they all are. The set design is just like on the first film, and the directing style of the film scenes by Matthew Vaughn is great again. Just how it is handheld shots mixed with tracking shots, pull-ins, pull-outs, cantric angles, etc. Matthew Vaughn, Edgar Wright, and Quentin Tarantino have got to be my current top 3 favorite directors working today. And it is also almost always just plain out entertaining and fun. This film is definitely the most fun I've had in theater this year, right after Baby Driver, of course. But this film is not without cons. One is that this film is 2 hours and 21 minutes, and the first one is 2 hours and 9 minutes, and both of them just seem maybe a tad bit too long. I think that they could stay maybe about 2 hours or less. But again, they are very fun and entertaining. The only other 2 things is, one, I think that the new main villain, compared to Valentine from the first film, is pretty flat, not amazing. But also, I don't mind at all if films are super crude and inappropriate, especially if they are rated R. Even though I myself do not ever cuss and I am not extremely inappropriate. But the scene that I said that I was going to come back to later was over the top in my opinion, and probably almost got cut from the film, because that scene alone would probably have an adult film rating, because Eggsy has to hook up with Clara at a festival thing, call his girlfriend in the bathroom to get his permission to sleep with her for work, and then he has to use a tiny little condom gadget to put a tracker in Clara's so it's just how it showed his hand slowly going down there, and it was just way over the top. That type of stuff wasn't even in Deadpool, and I have never seen anything go that far in any rated R movie I've seen so far, and I have seen and own tons of rated R movies. But that is pretty much it for my cons. Overall, if you have seen the first film and liked it, I would recommend going to see Kingsman: The Golden Circle, but definitely not with young children or if you are easily offended, because this one is even more crude than the first one. When my dad and I were walking out of the theater, this one guy was talking to his wife saying that was just deliberately crude and over the top, and he was speaking like he was pretty angry at the film. But anyway, pretty good film. They're currently planning a 3rd installment in the franchise with, of course, Dwayne Johnson being eyed as the main villain, which is awesome, but not at the same time, because while he is a great actor and super lovable, I just feel like he's being put into more movies than any actor or actress ever. Like, he is on average in about 4 films every year now or so, and he is almost always either the main character or the second main character. But I was kind of hoping for them to at least finish out a trilogy, because not only do I love these films, it just also sounds like a thing. I mean, the Kingsman trilogy. It just makes sense. I can already imagine a 3-film box set collection on store shelves already. So yeah, so that was my movie review for Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Now on to my movie review for It. It is directed by Andy Muschietti and is a remake of the first episode of the 2-episode miniseries from 1990. Both are, of course, based on Stephen King's It novel from 1986. That was his 22nd book and 18th novel. The full title of this movie is actually It Chapter 1, since it is a remake of the first episode where all of the characters are kids. Very recently, they released the official release date for It Chapter 2, which is September 6, 2019. I thought it was coming out in 2018, but anyway, I will most likely do a review on that when it finally does come out. It will be a remake of the second episode that takes place 27 years later, when all of the characters are adults, which they will hopefully really try well on because almost everyone loved the first episode, and that's the one that has all of the iconic moments. But then the second episode is not liked by most people, and is probably the main reason for its rating of 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, and It Chapter 1 currently at 7.9 out of 10. But anyway, I will say now that I have not seen the original 1990 miniseries, so this is my first time watching a full It feature, and I have also not yet read the book. Anyway, it stars Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, Jaden Lieberher, hopefully I pronounced that right, as Bill Denbrough, Jeremy Ray Taylor as Ben Hanscom, Sophia Lillis as Beverly Marsh, Finn Wolfhard as Richie Tozier, Chosen Jacobs as Mike Hanlon, Jake Dylan Grazer as Eddie Kasprak, and Wyatt Oleff as Stanley Uris. The plot of it is that there's this being from some unknown dimension where his biggest enemy is, yes, a giant space turtle, which I guess was hinted at in The Dark Tower a few months ago, since that is the first movie based on another book series by Stephen King. Anyway, the being is named Pennywise, who is a shapeshifter disguised as a clown who came to Earth in the medieval ages and has been going down the line of some families and visits a new kid from some family every 27 years. On one scene, Ben is looking at a drawing from the medieval ages that has Pennywise hidden in it. It starts out with Bill sick, making a paper boat for his little brother Georgie, which, if you didn't see the last day vlog, I got my little paper SS Georgie, my movie memorabilia section behind me. It's right there, you can probably barely see it, but I showed that last vlog if you really want to see it. But anyway, where was I? Oh yes. Which he then takes outside and ends up losing it down a sewer drain and starts to leave just as Pennywise pops up and starts having a conversation with Georgie until he eventually kills him and drags him into the sewer in a pretty cool, powerful scene. So Bill forms this group called the Losers Club with some friends from school who are Ben, Richie, Eddie, and Stanley. Two others join shortly after who are Beverly and Mike, with some friends from school who are, they are all bullied by three bullies led by Henry Bowers, played by Nicholas Hamilton, who is insanely mean, abusive, and just horrible. He physically hurts mainly Ben, including pushing him down a hill, slapping, punching, and even cutting 2 deep cuts into Ben's stomach. He is easily one of my most hated movie characters of all time so far. He's a good character, but a good love-to-hate character. I was just wishing for him to die. But later it is revealed that he is like that because of his father, who in one scene shoots just inches in front of Henry's feet with a real pistol to win an argument. Which in one scary scene later on, Henry walks into his house to his father sleeping and the TV is on with kids singing, and then they start chanting, "Kill him, kill him." And then he looks away, then looks back to see Pennywise on the screen joining in on the chant. So Henry pulls out his automatic OTF, which if you don't know what that stands for, out the front, knife up to his father's neck and then ejects it, killing him. And then at the beginning of the climax, Henry accidentally falls down the well thing in the abandoned house to his death after pulling up and away the rope that the Losers Club got down to the bottom on. Anyway, the Losers Club starts bonding some more, and there are 2 pretty great bonding scenes with them. So the kids start seeing things and getting attacked by Pennywise in different forms, like a zombie goat-looking being attacking Eddie. An awesome remake scene of the blood sink scene with Beverly where she shaves her own hair, and then later on, while looking into the bathroom mirror after dealing with her abusive father, she hears talking from the drain, pulls some bloody hair out with a tape measure, just as it wraps around her head, shooting blood everywhere, covering the whole bathroom, unlike on the original miniseries where it just shoots out a gallon or so. And also a school library chase scene with Ben getting chased by Pennywise as a headless boy. And one of my favorite scenes, the really creepy haunted abandoned house scene where Pennywise chases all of them one by one. One kid falls through the ground, one gets locked in a room with clowns and jack-in-the-boxes and then gets chased out by Pennywise. And Pennywise also attacks one of the kids with his face having his teeth extended out of his face, like the Killing Georgie scene. But this time they are way farther out, and so his face making, so extended it makes him look like a creepy ghoul jackal-looking thing. It was all just great. Anyway, the climax takes place down in the well thing under the abandoned house where Pennywise keeps all of his victim kids piled up, and a lot of them are floating, hence the most famous It line, "You'll float too." It was darker than I think it needed to be, but it was an okay scene still. It is also the only scene to show Pennywise actually dancing, which was a great little scene where Beverly sees an opening wall with a hell-looking place in it with Pennywise in the middle doing a weird little creepy dance, which was even more creepy the way his body was moving, because his head was expressionless, because his body was moving, but his head was expressionless and barely moving. It ends with Bill having to shoot Pennywise shapeshifted into Georgie, which makes him fall, and then he starts creepily twisting, popping, and just going crazy, turning back into Pennywise, and then the group finishes him off by doing it, and then he does an acrobatic back somersault into a hole, and then slowly peels and disintegrates away, only to come back for an official final battle on It Chapter 2. Overall, all of the characters except for a few were pretty good, which is surprising since all of the main characters except for Pennywise are all played by actors and actresses that are currently about 10 to 17 years old or so. And I now currently only know about 4 movies that have a great child actor/actors so far. So my pros with It Chapter 1 is of course the actors, actresses, and the characters themselves. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is way more creepy than Tim Curry as Pennywise, especially with his different forms and his attacks, where he sprints while screaming and violently shakes his head. I also really like the directing style, and this is probably one of the best, if not the best, film's use of camera angles I have ever seen so far. And I also really enjoyed the bonding scenes, the soundtrack, and the slight use of some mise-en-scène. I also appreciate how It Chapter 1 was released 27 years after the original miniseries, just like the plot of It. The projector stop-motion like Pennywise attack scene was also greatly directed and was also one of my most favorite scenes. And also how Pennywise only had about 35 minutes of overall screen time out of the overall 2-hour and 15-minute runtime, and about 18 of those minutes are him in different forms. Many people would say that's dumb, it makes it less scary, we need to see a lot more Pennywise, but I disagree. Usually showing your monster in horror/thriller movies less, but when you do, you make them really shine out, be mysterious, and just awesome. That is when it really works. It builds up suspense and actually makes it a lot more scary and great. That is one of the reasons that the first Alien film works so well. And lastly, just how great Stephen King is, and I have not yet read any of his books, only saw quite a few scenes from the original miniseries, saw It Chapter 1, and I have also watched The Shining, The Mist, The Dead Zone, a few episodes of Under the Dome, and I own The Shawshank Redemption, of course, all currently, and hope to read/watch more of King's media in the future. But there are cons. First off, how Georgie is killed, but then isn't even mentioned again until about an hour later, and then it isn't mentioned again until the climax except for a few nods. But my main con with this is how good it is for the insane amount of hype it has been getting ever since it was first announced. While it was good in my opinion, it was not great. Maybe about a 7.4 or 7.5 out of 10 rather than a current rating of 7.9 out of 10. While it was directed nicely and many other great things about it, it is treated like a super hyped up masterpiece film that, by the way, is now the highest grossing horror movie of all time. Yeah, that's right. That is just insane. I mean, that beat super hyped up films like Alien Covenant, the Carrie remake, the A Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and even probably the best horror movies of all time to this day, The Silence of the Lambs and The Shining. I also just really feel like the upcoming Chapter 2 is setting it up for failure, just how the second episode of the original miniseries ended up, and how it won't have near as much hype as Chapter 1 did. So overall, It Chapter 1 is okay, but in my opinion, not worth going to see in theaters. I think that you'll be completely fine just waiting until it comes out on physical media to watch it. So yeah, just not really worth the extreme hype in my opinion. So yeah, so that's my review for both of those movies that I went to go see. And yeah, so hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And those are probably the 2 most popular movies going in theaters currently. So yeah, so that is pretty much it for that part. So moving on with the rest of the day vlog. Okay, so starting off the rest of the day vlog, I am going to show my only new drawing, and this technically isn't new. I actually drew it when I was drawing my Portugal the Man drawing right there, but I couldn't show it quite yet on YouTube on the last day vlog when I showed the Portugal the Man drawing, or on any social media or anything, because it was a contest and I didn't want anybody to steal my idea or anything. But basically, it is for my school, Great Falls High, of course, and it is the Spirit Shirt contest. And basically, if you won, you got $200 and your drawing printed on the Spirit Shirt for 2017-2018 school year. Yeah, this is my drawing. This isn't the actual one. The actual one I gave to the school. This is actually a copied version. But yeah, so. The real one's a little bit darker colors, but yeah, you can see I just wrote Great Falls High School right up there, and then I did some shading mainly just on his horns and then on his eyes, and then that's his nose, and then those are his eyes, which look really cool, and then his pupils are actually the Great Falls logo, more specifically the Great Falls High School logo, and then out of his nostrils is kind of like the cliched dust blowing out of their nostrils or whatever, but it's actually lightning or thunder, because that's kind of our thing. But then coming off that, you can see there's some more little lightning, and you can see it's blue mixed in with some pink, which really brought it out and looks good. I signed my name right there, unlike I usually do, just like that, pretty much. But yeah, and then I just wrote Tread on Their Ground, kind of blending in with that. Sadly, I did not win. I was really hoping I was gonna win. Of course, who doesn't want just $200 for drawing and stuff? I don't know why. I don't know if they lost it or what, but I went to vote I believe this past Monday. Today's Wednesday, and all of a sudden there was 4 drawings, and mine just wasn't even in there. No one has gotten in contact with me or anything yet to say maybe it got voted out or something with the student council or whatever. I don't really know yet, but it kind of seems like they just forgot about it. So, I mean, compared to a lot of my drawings, they usually take a lot longer. This one only took about 6 hours, so it's only about 6 hours of my life, no big deal. Moving on to my updated movie poster wall, you can see a lot of stuff has been moved around or whatever. So first off, I took down, I believe I only had one poster for the DC EU hung up, which was Batman v Superman. But basically, to save that much room, as you guys know, I made a collage, which I showed, I believe, last day vlog, of all my Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and then that's for Avengers Infinity War coming up, but to save all that room. But now I made collages of 3 others, and so first off is all my Quentin Tarantino movies, all 8 of them so far. Since I've seen all 8 of them, I just took down all my posters and put them on there with a little blood splatter background, since that's what he's really known for. I just put all of those on there. So that's my little Quentin Tarantino poster. This one is, of course, Star Wars. So I got the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and then Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Episode 7, and the poster for the upcoming Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. So I got that, and of course, like the MCU, all 3 of these I will just add on as they release posters or whatever. But then this one is for the DCEU. Yeah, but basically it's for Man of Steel. Most of these I don't really like. Suicide Squad is okay, but only if you're watching the extended cut. But even that's still just okay. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice I liked. It's not very rewatchable, but it's okay. Man of Steel I didn't like that much. But yes, I finally have seen Wonder Woman. We finally rented it on Amazon, and that surprised me as much as Doctor Strange right there. So yeah, but both of them are characters that I didn't like. Before I watched the movies, I'm not a huge fan of them. But then also Doctor Strange is still currently my top 3. I believe it's number 3 of favorite MCU movies of all time currently. And now Wonder Woman is actually my most favorite DCEU film. And yeah, I was a bigger fan of her before I went into that movie over Doctor Strange. But that still surprised me. One of the things I was a big fan about is these 3 movies all have these really just dark and gritty filter the entire time. Wonder Woman isn't. It's just like film in it, and like if anything, if there's filters at certain points, it's just to make it like more vibrant and everything. And I actually really like that. It was a great, not only a great World War I film, since we don't get a lot of those, it's usually World War II. So yeah, it was actually a pretty good war film, even though it was of course not very accurate. But also just, it was actually pretty darn good. Yeah, so there were flaws about it. The enemy was not that great, of course, like a lot of movies. Yeah, I really actually like that. So if you have not, check that out. All three of these are pretty low rated. That one actually has a pretty good rating. It's like 7.8 currently. So yeah, check that out. Check out all of these if you want to, but definitely check out Wonder Woman. That one surprised me. So if they keep on going the way with Wonder Woman like they did, DCU could finally have it figured out and not go into complete failure. But anyway, Justice League, this is like the main poster for it, and it up there, it has all the names of the actors and everything, and then that stuff down there. And then all of the people that are supposed to, all the heroes that are supposed to be part of the Justice League in that one anyway. And the Justice League title thing right there. That is an official poster, but then the other two right there are ones that I made by myself. And basically those are posters that I could make right now because like they're not only are they confirmed movies, but the title for both of them is confirmed what the title's gonna be. And also though that's how they're gonna look in their own movies, because like there's this movie called Flashpoint, that's a confirmed title, but we don't know who all's gonna be in it, or the suits for sure, or whatever. Green Lantern Corps, same thing, we don't even know who's playing Green Lantern. Shazam, don't even know who's playing Shazam yet, for sure. And then even movies like Wonder Woman 2, it might have some cameos and stuff, she might even have a completely different suit or whatever. So those are the only ones that I can make currently. But even that one doesn't come out until like 2019, I believe, and then 2020 or something like that. But yeah, so basically it is Cyborg, and I put Ray Fisher, who's the guy who plays DCU Cyborg. And I put PG-13 right there, which you can barely see right there. DC and Warner Brothers, same with this one, Warner Brothers and DC, just forgot to put the PG-13 thing on it. But yeah, I got Cyborg in the background, I got like a Destruction City type thing. With like a kind of technological red background, just faded over the back a little bit. And then I got Cyborg right there with his little logo name right there with a little red lens flare with his main Cyborg logo. And then over here I have one for Aquaman with Jason Momoa, the guy who plays him. And in the background you can kind of see his logo right there with a raging ocean in the background, and then him standing there all awesome like right there. So yeah, those are my three new big old collage posters that I will add to over time. So now I have one for the MCU, DC, EU, Star Wars, and Quentin Tarantino. So yeah, so overall I just moved some posters to fit those in there, and I also added some. Of course, Graduate was over there, moved that over there, and then like Chronicle, the Godfather trilogy, and Jaws were like all over there, and I moved those all over there and put those right there. And then I added Creed. I saw that quite a while ago, not long after it came out on physical media. And yeah, we rented that, and that's probably my second favorite, or third favorite boxing movie. First is, of course, where is it? Real Steel. Second favorite is Million Dollar Baby. But third favorite is probably Creed. But yeah, so I added that, and then over here I added The Doors, which I really actually did not like that movie. It was just really based on drugs and everything, and just like weird, and like just looked foggy the whole time, and it was kind of weird. But yeah, and you just feel like you're tripping the whole time. But yeah, so the only reason I really hung that one up is because, I mean, it's a pretty high-rated movie. It just came on TV one time, and I watched it with my mom. And yeah, it's one of the most iconic movie posters of all time, I would say. I'm pretty sure you've all seen that, even though if you barely know what the movie is in itself. But yeah, so I believe that's pretty much it for everything I moved and added over here anyway. Oh yeah, Hell or High Water was up there. I moved that down there. And that's where Open Range used to be, which I took down now. But yeah, and then right there I got Dirty Dancing kind of right there, which is free on Amazon Prime now. So I watched that, and right below that is Grease, because of like the 80s and everything like that. If you think of like the most iconic dancing movies of like the 70s, 80s, or 90s, or whatever the years they came out, you always think of Grease, Dirty Dancing, and what's the other one called? It's Grease, Dirty Dancing, and yeah, Grease, Dirty Dancing, and Footloose. So I still have yet to see the original Footloose movie, but I've seen Grease and Dirty Dancing. I can say that I did like Dirty Dancing more than Grease. So it was actually a pretty good movie. It was quite a bit better than I was expecting. Not amazing, but it was pretty good. Oh yeah, and then The Accountant right there was up there, and I also moved that down there. But that's pretty sure it for over here. But then over here, I, basically, yeah, you guys or if you saw the last day vlog, you saw that I, got A Dog's Purpose and kind of gave my thoughts on that. So I got a poster up for it finally. I just moved, I took down, that's where Jackie Brown used to be, which of course is now on my Quentin Tarantino collage. But I just put A Dog's Purpose right there, since I actually like that movie quite a bit. And then up here, this is that's pretty much it for, like, new posters for movies that I've already seen and I'm just now hanging up posters for, or posters that I moved and all that stuff. From here out, it's new movie posters for movies that I have not seen before that I hung up. So first off is It Follows. That's not really the main poster for it, but it's like the one I like the best. It's a little more original and everything. But yeah, I like that movie quite a bit better than I thought I was going to. It was a little bit longer than I think it needed to be, but it was actually pretty darn creepy. It was very awkward. Probably one of the most, it was just like some scenes where I think a bit over the top. But I really liked the final climax scene and like the ending, how it was like they were just holding hands walking down the street and they thought it was all over, but then all of a sudden you see a guy following them in the background. And basically, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a metaphor for AIDS. But yeah, if you have like sex with the infected people, then they pass it on to you, and then people that aren't really there start following you, and only people with the disease can see them, and if you let them get too close, then they kill you, which is basically like AIDS. You don't really know it's following you until eventually it just kills you. So that is on Netflix currently. Watch it while it's still there. I actually thought it was pretty good, even though it was very awkward and inappropriate. But then The Sixth Sense, which is by M. Night Shyamalan, which his most recent movie was Split right there. And I have seen The Happening, which is probably one of his worst movies. Of course, I don't have a poster up for that by M. Night Shyamalan. But this is M. Night Shyamalan's probably his best movie. In most people's opinions, I would say it's exactly tied with Split, because overall I would say I like Split better, but the twist and the climax on The Sixth Sense I definitely like better. How it figured out that Bruce Willis's character, like at the beginning, he got shot by that guy that said he failed him and everything, his patient, since he's a psychologist, and he got shot by him. And then the teenager person shot himself. But then in the end, if he figures out from the kid that can see dead people, he figures out that he has been dead the whole time and just didn't know it yet. So yeah, so that is also on Netflix. Definitely check that out. That is a pretty good movie. Gone Baby Gone. It's a pretty high-rated movie. A lot of people have heard of it. It was Ben Affleck's first big movie that he ever directed, and Ben Affleck's one of my favorite actors, probably within top 5 or so. But yeah, and then it stars his brother, Casey Affleck, which I really love, especially in Manchester by the Sea. Yeah, so watch that. I wasn't a huge fan of it. There's 2 scenes that I really loved. Yeah, so anyway, next up is Dead Poets Society. My dad absolutely loves it. He loves Robin Williams, and rip to him. But that's one of his favorite movies right there. My dad, Good Morning Vietnam right there. But this one also stars Robin Williams in his Dead Poets Society, which is also on Netflix, and this was very good. I've been wanting to watch it for a while, and they finally added it to Netflix. Very excited to see that. But it's basically about an English teacher who, makes a Dead Poets Society and everything, and they go down to, this cave place and have little meetings and stuff. And I will say that movie, along with just a very few other movies, which I can barely even remember. There was that movie, I know for sure. Yeah, that movie, Logan, Forrest Gump, and I believe, and $1 Million Baby. I believe those are the only movies so far to get me to actually, have my eyes water. Never, cried on a movie, but they watered. Just on this suicide scene, and, it had beautiful lighting, and just, I really love the direction and stuff, the directing and everything of it. But it was also just a horrible scene, just what was happening and everything, but... and also the ending was very powerful and everything, and that was a very good movie. Definitely check that out. And then It, gave my review on it just a little bit ago. That's not the main poster. I don't know if it's fan-made or not. I'm pretty sure it is, but I just absolutely love that. If I zoom in on a little bit so you don't have the glare, you can see the little Pennywise in the sky with the Losers Club right there. and then it, and then you can see the fold, so it makes it look like all old and stuff. And then the little skyline of like the farm or whatever. I don't really know why, because the farm doesn't really do anything with the movie. But then right there, I have a collage for Kingsman: The Secret Service, which of course I saw just after it came out on physical media. So, yeah. But then right there, of course, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. That's pretty much the main posters for both of those movies. But I just hung up both of those, and once the third one comes out, I will just take that one down and then move that one up there and edit another collage and just have those two right there, and then the third one right there. But oh man, I just caught my elbow in the strap. Okay, it's all good though. I caught my camera, then it smashed in my desk. It's okay, camera. But anyway, so yeah, so got those up again. I love those. Gave my review on Kingsman: The Golden Circle just a little bit ago. Right there, I believe that is called the can't remember right now, but it starts with a C, something trilogy. But it's directed by, again, one of my favorite directors, Edgar Wright. Yeah, so I believe it's called like the Cornetto or something trilogy. I cannot remember right now, but basically it's a trilogy who stars the two same actors, which is Simon Pegg, probably best known as his role as Scotty on the J.J. Abrams Star Trek trilogy, and maybe more to come. But yeah, it stars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in every single one of them. And it started out with Shaun of the Dead, then Hot Fuzz, and then The World's End. The first two are pretty high rated. The third one's not as high rated, but still pretty good. Out of that trilogy, Shaun of the Dead is probably my first favorite, then Hot Fuzz, and then The World's End. The World's End I actually watched a while ago, back when it first came out, but I still remember it pretty well. And then Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, I just rented it about a week ago to finish out the trilogy. And then the last movie that I have not seen, directed by Edgar Wright. So yes, that is right. I have now finally seen every single movie directed by Edgar Wright. And I'm not talking about, I'm just including his like short films and his little short like 4-minute things, because he has directed a lot. But and he was also one of the 4 directors, I believe, on Grindhouse. So that doesn't really count. But the movies directed by just Edgar Wright, no one else, and like are his big movies and everything, are pretty much these 5, which is first Shaun of the Dead, then Hot Fuzz, then Scott Pilgrim vs. World, then The World's End, and now Baby Driver. So yeah, so Baby Driver is probably my first favorite, or it is my first favorite, then Scott Pilgrim vs. World, then Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and then The World's End. So yeah, so the last one is of course Scott Pilgrim vs. World, which was very enjoyable. I absolutely love the style of it, with like all the like text and like for the sound effects going across the screen, like when doorbell rings and stuff. And yeah, I just really love the style of it. Again, I just absolutely love Edgar Wright as a director. I love his style, but he really went out with Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Like Baby Driver with the music going along to everything, best I've ever seen. And then Scott Pilgrim vs. the World for like actual like little sound effects, text being on screen, and like just the wacky effects and everything, and the transitions and all that. Probably the best I've seen for that. So yeah, so basically it's about a guy to Scott Pilgrim to win over, can't really remember her name, but to win her over, he has to battle her 7 evil exes, which are those 7 people up there. And yes, that is Chris Evans right there. He was very weird with his eyebrows and stuff. And then there's also Brie Larson and everything. Yeah, so I really love that movie, so I just rented all those. So yes, I have finally seen every one of Edgar Wright's big movies that he directed by himself. So yeah, so the last thing that I forgot to say about my update movie poster wall is Straight Outta Compton. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I do own the Steelbook, one of my 2 Steelbooks. The other one is, of course, Django Unchained. Yeah, so it's a pretty good movie, I guess, but I'm not, like, a huge fan of it. I think it's quite a bit longer than it needed to be. Yeah, I hung up a poster, very iconic poster nowadays and everything. But yeah, so that is my overall updated movie poster wall. I don't think I forgot anything. I believe I showed everything new, moved around, all that stuff. So yeah, so, moving on to the next thing in the stay vlog is over here, my other new drawing. Yeah, so This one I, of course, drew on September 11th, 2017 to September 13th, 2017. Yeah, basically, it's pretty much all the most iconic horror / sci-fi / thriller villains. And, so yeah, so basically you can see how I creatively cut it, kind of with the, you can see it better with this lighting and everything. Yeah, so I cut it all creatively like that and everything. And then in the background I got like that splatter, which I didn't color just to make that pop up. But then I figured if I didn't, it was going to make all the stuff that I wanted to pop out more. So yeah, so I just kept it white. You can see it's right there, and then I actually leveled it out so then it carries on up there. And then I mixed in my name like I do a lot of times nowadays. And you can see Brennan Wood and then the dates right there mixed in with the splatter. And then I put Dead by Day, just kind of a cool little quote. I believe it's, I can't really remember which one it's to. I believe it's Michael Myers. Yeah. So then the people I drew is, of course, a Xenomorph from the Alien franchise with his little mouth thingy popping out. And yeah, that looks really, really cool. Turned out great. Predator from the Predator franchise. Of course, right next to Aliens from the 2 Alien vs. Predator movies. And then I put Pennywise, of course, the new Bill Skarsgård one from the new It, with one of his little red balloons floating up behind him right there. And then for a little thing that I just did by myself, didn't see any pictures or anything, I just decided to do it, is Darth Vader's lightsaber right there is actually casting a little bit of red light onto his face, which you can barely see, but it is there, and I thought that was a very cool little addition that I added on there. And then right in the middle, probably the most iconic villain of all time, Darth Vader. You can see I did actually, like in the original series, how his little eyepieces were actually a little bit red. The original movies are, of course, the best and probably will always be. So I did them a little bit red. You can see they're a little bit red. Yeah, so he actually turned out pretty well. He's pretty darn 3D, and I really love him, especially how he's all in the middle and everything. He's kind of like the leader of all these people. And Predator does have his little laser thingy right there, if you can barely see that. And then right there from The Silence of the Lambs, I drew Hannibal Lecter with his little mask thing on there, played by Anthony Hopkins, when he's a lot younger, of course. And then again, Darth Vader's lightsaber right there. And then Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise. Pretty basic, but okay. And then his little knife right there. And then Voldemort with the red shading around his eyes. And his little, like, face. From, of course, the Harry Potter franchise with his actual custom wand. His little bone pick looking thing. Shooting some green stuff. Some Gaudia Leviosa or whatever. So yeah, so then of course I have the SS Georgie boat right there, carrying on from It right there. So now I have it on that drawing and right there. So then over here I have Freddy Krueger in his like really famous pose like that, smiling and everything, and his hat, his little fedora. And you can even see I added some little rust effect looking things on his glove, which turned out really well. And he turned out a little better than I thought he was going to, just with how his face is like all raggedy and stuff. And then I got Ghostface from the Scream franchise, the original one, not the one from the new MTV show, just because I don't think that mask is, of course it's not near as iconic as that one, but also I think that one's a lot more like creative than the other one. The other one looks like it could just be like a mask. That one looks like it's from Scream. But yeah, Ghostface right there with his little bloodied up knife right there. And then last but not least, I got Jason Voorhees right there with his little gray hair sticking out the back, and then his raggedy face and neck with him kind of looking to the side with his dirtied up. You can see I added some like dirty effects with his little dirtied up hockey mask, and then his big old machete right there. So that's my new drawing, and yeah, I really, really like that. So that is pretty much it for that. So then moving on to the next part is I got a new movie finally. Haven't got one for a while now. Yeah, so over here you can see I now have all of the first 5 Transformers movies. Of course, I have had these ones for a while now. That's the first Transformers on just DVD, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen on the 2-disc special edition or whatever it is, Transformers Dark of the Moon on just DVD, and then I got the, of course, Transforming Optimus Prime case for Transformers Age of Extinction Blu-ray DVD plus digital HD. And then now, just today, today for me is actually Wednesday, September 27th. Transformers Age of Extinction, or Transformers The Last Knight, actually got released on physical media yesterday, which was September 26th, 2017, Tuesday. But for some reason, Amazon almost always like ships them to my house on that day, since I have free 2-day shipping. And if you pre-order them with that, then with free 2-day shipping, or if you pay for it, if like you're an Amazon Prime member and you get it for free, like my family, then you get it on the day of release. But for some reason, this one had some complications or whatever. I don't really know why, but it came today, so that's fine. Just 1 day late. I don't really mind. I wasn't really planning to watch it anyway right away, since it's not amazing, but it's my second favorite Transformers movie out of the 5. But that's, of course, still not saying much. But like I said in my review for this, so if you haven't seen it, a few day vlogs ago, I did my review on this back when I was in theaters, because I went to go see the premiere. So I just got it on DVD and digital just to match the rest of my collection. Of course, I do have Age of Extinction on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital HD, but it's not in that case. It's still in a case that's about as tall as a regular DVD box, so yeah, but my second favorite Transformers movie, but it's probably honestly my most favorite Transformers movie box, because you can see it's pretty cliched, of course, but I do really like it. And the spine right there just has a little logo right there, and then I really like the colors and gradient of that DVD plus digital. And then on the back you got Cybertron falling in the background with Optimus Prime from the other main poster, or from probably the main poster of Transformers Last Knight. And the little bio right there. And that's just really awesome for the back. That strip right there is, I don't really know why they put those pictures. Like those three are pretty epic. That one's just like, look, we got Anthony Hopkins to be in a Transformers movie, yay. The other ones are just like 3 Transformers ones, but I feel like they just put that one to show that they got a very talented big actor in their movie. Not that Mark Wahlberg isn't, but I mean, he's not as, I wouldn't say he's as great as Anthony Hopkins. But then the disc is just like regular Transformers movie, just completely plain. Even though they always make up plenty good enough budget to have their physical media be nice and presentable and everything. Which they did with the box, but nothing else really. I don't think they're even really doing any big special editions for this one. Unlike the Transforming box of Age of Extinction. But you can just see right there, got Optimus Prime in the background right there with his purple eyes, of course. And then Bumblebee right there, and then some of the main characters. And then you can see his little hole in his shirt with the little circle Excalibur thingy. And he's holding Excalibur right there. And then the little girl, can't remember her name. And then the pretty cool lighting over the Stonehenge right there, with Cybertron popping up a little bit in the back.